CNN Headline News, I'm Kathy Marshall. After 6 months and 2 failed attempts, the Space Shuttle Columbia is finally in outer space.
Very good engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Space Shuttle Columbia and Astro 1 for an insight into the lifestyle of the galaxies.
Today, the leak-free shuttle made a picture-perfect liftoff on a 10-day mission. Earlier flights were scrubbed after dangerous hydrogen fuel leaks were discovered. Columbia's 7-member crew has already activated the shuttle's payload, the $150 million Astro 1 Space Observatory. The 4-telescope light-sensitive complex will help scientists study distant stars and galaxies and measure their radiation. Scientists believe celestial bodies that emit high-energy radiation will provide clues to the evolution of the universe. The Soviets launched an aircraft into space today. The Soyuz rocket blasted off to join the orbiting Mir space station. Japan paid $12 million to include a television reporter among the 3-member crew. They'll meet up with 2 cosmonauts already on board the Mir station. Turning now to developments in the Persian Gulf crisis, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein says there's a 50-50 chance of finding a peaceful solution to the crisis. He says it depends on whether U.S. Secretary of State James Baker is ready for, quote, real dialogue. Hussein says upcoming talks with Baker must be more than a token attempt. The Iraqi leader spoke on French television. Meanwhile, the White House is rejecting Baghdad's demand to link the Palestinian question to the Gulf crisis.
Palestine is not an issue on the table. The issue on the table is Saddam Hussein's invasion into Kuwait. What is on the table has been specifically provided for in the United Nations resolution. There is no linkage.
Top American military and national security advisors traveled to Camp David this weekend to meet with President Bush. Officials deny the meeting is a council of war, saying they'll be discussing a range of issues. Thousands of Americans are protesting U.S. involvement in the Persian Gulf. About 1,500 people gathered outside the Westwood Federal Building in Los Angeles, demanding the U.S. withdraw from the Gulf. Another 8,000 people marched through the Boston Common. Some chanted about not wanting to die for oil and carried signs that read, "Build homes, not bombs." Tens of thousands of Iraqis took to the streets of Baghdad to denounce the latest UN resolution and proclaim their willingness to fight. The protesters carried pictures of Saddam Hussein and burned American flags during yesterday's demonstration. Confirmed reports of Iraqi missile test firings have British forces on alert in the Gulf. U.S. officials say Iraqi forces fired surface-to-surface missiles which landed in Iraq and were not directed toward U.S.-led forces. Last week, British and American troops were on air raid alert for several hours after reports of Iraqi troop movements. Some recent Kuwaiti military graduates are eager to show off their capabilities. John Sweeney reports.
They've only had a month to get whipped into shape in the Saudi desert, about 150 miles from their occupied homeland. But these first graduates of Kuwait's voluntary military training were anxious to show off their newfound expertise. Some came from as far as the United States to volunteer.
I just graduated from the state. I have my MBA.
Young and not so young, businessmen, professionals, and students, these 600 first graduates are among 7,000 volunteers worldwide with the same goal.
I want to go home. From now, I want to go home for Kuwait. But as you know, I can't go this time.
I was thrown out from my house. And you know the feeling for anybody, any human being, when he is thrown out from his house.
During their month of training, the volunteers were schooled in the fundamentals. If they still look more civilian than military in experience, few doubt their will.
Of all of the victims of the Gulf crisis, the Kuwaitis, now dependent on others, are perhaps the most frustrated. And if their brief military training has not turned them into crack soldiers overnight, at least it has given them some sense of worth.
A sense of worth stirred by their new defense minister, who was on hand to call for the liberation of their homeland. With that plea, military decorum gave way to Arab emotionalism. If other, more experienced armies are called upon to liberate their homeland, the new military graduates gave a graphic preview of what the streets in Kuwait City will look like when they finally get there. John Sweeney, CNN, Saudi Arabia.
Germans are braving light snow and rain to cast ballots in the nation's first free election since 1932. Today's vote comes just 2 months